Today we'll be looking at how to analyze functions. The first thing we need to know in order to be able to analyze functions is to understand quadrants and what they mean and what they tell us about points. On any given graph there are up to 4 quadrants. If you draw both the x and the y-axis and you start in the upper right-hand corner, we count them and call them quadrant 1. Moving left to the upper left-hand corner, quadrant 2. If you go directly down, so the lower left, we have quadrant 3. And in the lower right, we have quadrant 4. You'll notice that in quadrant 1, both the x and y coordinate are positive. In quadrant 2, the x coordinate becomes negative, while the y coordinate stays positive. In quadrant 3, both the x and y coordinate are negative, and in quadrant 4, the x coordinate is positive, while the y coordinate becomes negative. We use quadrants to tell us about domain and range. The first of these that we're going to look at today is domain. Domain is all of the x values or input values in a mathematical relationship between two variables. As you can see on a graph, the domain is all of the values of x where there is a corresponding point on the line representing our function. Range is the opposite. Range is all of the y values or output values in a mathematical relationship between two variables. So it is all of the y values that show up on the graph in front of us or in our function. The range is in red, the domain is in green. Domain, we're always looking left to right, what numbers occur. The range, we're looking up and down, which numbers occur. As a practical example of domain and range, we can see here that we have our blue line that we want to find the domain and range of. The domain goes from -3 on the far left all the way to +3 on the far right. We write this as -3 is less than x, which is less than or equal to 3. The reason there is a difference between less than and less than or equal to is based on whether the point is included in our graph. This can be shown by either an open circle, meaning we don't include that point but every number up until it. So we don't include -3, but -2.99999 would be included. Whereas if you look on the right, 3 is included because the circle is colored in. The range goes from -2 across the bottom all the way up to 4 across the top. If you pay attention to the circles, whether they're colored in or open, we can see that -2 is colored in, so it's included, so we use less than or equal to, and 4 is open, so it's not included, so we use simply less than, giving us a range of -2 is less than or equal to y, which is less than 4. The last thing that we will talk about today is coordinate points. The x-coordinate always moves us right and left. Positive x values move us to the right, negative x values move us to the left. The y-coordinate moves us up and down. Positive y values move us up, negative y values move us down. For example, if you look at point A, we have to move right 6 and up 8, so our coordinate point for A is 6, 8. If you look at B, we have to move left 6, up 2, so our coordinate point is -6, 2. And if you look at our coordinate point for C, we move right 4 and down 4, so our coordinate is 4, -4. Your homework for tonight is to create 3 points that you can bring into class and graph first thing tomorrow.